When people ask me if each entity needs a separate bank account, you need to understand what are we specifically talking about. If we are talking about certain kinds of trusts, maybe, maybe not. I would say that the best rule of thumb is most of the entities that you're going to be setting up need their own form of bank account unless there are compelling reasons not to, or there are some obvious reasons not to. Most of us have the problem of thinking the other way. We don't want to set up any bank accounts for these other entities that we're establishing and want to get away with one. You're going to get into a lot more trouble that way. I'd rather have a person have too many bank accounts than not enough. Generally speaking, each particular entity was set up for a purpose. Maybe it's set up because there's a piece of real estate in this one, and there's another piece of real estate in this one, and there's another piece of real estate in this one. Well, that being the case, wouldn't you want a separate bank account for each entity or for each property so that you can keep track of the accounting differences? What I think is important is sit down with your accountant and maybe your attorney who's helping you to put this together and get their advice. It may very well be that in certain cases you may have 2 or 3 properties that could be combined into one bank account, and that would be sufficient. But generally speaking, the rule of thumb is it's better to have too many bank accounts than not enough. As a by the way to that last question, one of the compelling reasons that we have for making sure your bank accounts are separate is because of asset protection reasons. If, for example, you had 2 separate entities, you had properties in each one of those, and you decided that you wanted to be able to have the bank account only on one of these, and then you use that bank account to pay some expenses on this account, later on, if you ended up getting into a lawsuit, they could come back and find out that because you used one bank account for both properties, that would give them additional reason to perhaps include now both properties into that lawsuit instead of the one. So again, it's important to always have the number of bank accounts, usually for the different entities, unless there's a compelling, obvious reason that we don't need to. And your accountant or your attorney will certainly steer you in that right direction.